A lot of days I just follow the show. And that's what happened yesterday. And it kind of set up like this. Knowing that I've always been a fan of Entourage, the TV show, somebody brought up the season finale on this show. I mentioned that I still like the show a lot. I'm still a huge fan. I still saw every episode this season except for one. I just said that some of the storylines were a little bit over the top, and I thought that they were getting a little gratuitous in the way they were jamming athletes in any way they could. But top to bottom, I still love the show. I'll always be a fan of the show. If the show goes away and they turn it into a movie, I'll see that. I like the brand. I like the franchise. But I thought that they had dialed it up so much, it started to get a little bit sharkish. To which an emailer, Chris in Canada, said, "Hey, Rome, have you listened carefully to Fonzie before the jump? If you listen carefully, he says, I told Potsy I'd do this." I mean, the whole thing sounded ridiculous to me until I went back and I listened to what he said before he made that jump, and I could not believe my ears.
Here we go, Fonz. I'm heading for the ramp. Are you sure you want to do it?
It was incredible. I mean, that's exactly what he said. I told Potsy I'd do this. Amazing. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious. And while I was blown away, I was prepared to move on with the show until people started to question what I was saying. People started to call and email the show saying, that's not what Fonzie said. In fact, he didn't say anything at all. What you're hearing, Rome, was Brett Favre saying, I told Percy I'd do it. You know, like I'm some sort of an idiot or something. Or like I just made the whole thing up. Yet, people started to call the show. Chris in Houston, for instance, was the first guy through and said, hey, Rome, you're missing this completely. Somebody's jerking your chain. Fonzie did not say, I told Potsy I'd do this.
Hey, Rome, I was listening to that take with the Fonz jumping the shark, and if you listen closely, he's not saying, hey, I tell Potsy I'd do this. It is Brett Favre saying, I told Percy I'd do this.
Seriously, that's what you're hearing?
I'm hearing it, Rome, loud and clear.
That's raw audio taken from Happy Days. How could Brett Favre have been anywhere near the set when that happened?
I have no idea. I don't know if one of you guys taped over it or something, or somehow it got looped over.
Percy wasn't even alive when they shot that scene, when he jumped the shark. How could it be Percy?
I'm just saying. That's what I heard, and I think if you listen closely, that's Brett Favre saying, I told Percy I'd do this.
All right, so that guy makes that call, and then immediately people start to jump him, mostly from Houston, saying, are you kidding me? Nobody's that stupid, Rome. Way to go, Rome. You sure got some morons listening to your program. And then I thought that was the end of it, but more and more people called and tried to say the same thing and had his back. No sooner than I read a few of those emails cracking on Chris in Houston, Wally in Houston said the same thing. No, Rome, I've seen the clip a number of times. Fonzie did not respond to Richie by saying, I told Potsy I'd do it. You're wrong, Rome. The other guy's right.
I just got on YouTube myself, and someone is pulling your chain because that is Brett Favre in the background saying Percy.
Are you kidding? I mean, that's really what you're hearing. You don't think that Fonzie said it?
No, I know he didn't. I just got on YouTube. I looked at every version. Someone's pulling your chain, man. There's no way. I can hear Brett Favre clearly.
Okay, so you've seen every version. Have you seen the version that I'm playing? Have you seen that version?
I don't know which one you're playing, but I know what I'm listening to and what I'm seeing. I can't see his lips moving.
Quote, I don't know what you're playing. I know what I'm seeing, and I can't see his lips moving. And all of a sudden, we've got a full-on riot. A full-on debate. It's on. Both sides going back and forth. Me saying, look, I'm not 100% certain, but I know what I heard. I know what I see. I'm 99.998% certain that Fonzie said right before that jump, I told Potsy I'd do it. I played it for you. I know what I heard. And I'm not the only one. Then a caller named Joe in Boise jumped in. He said, no, Rome. Don't back down, Rome. You're right. I heard the same thing.
Hey, I was listening to that as I was driving down the road, and you got to remember that
he is responding to a question that he was asked by Richie. That is Arthur Fonzarelli, because I'm a little older than you. I've watched all those shows like 2 or 3 times. I know it's him. And I think the problem is that some of these guys got their teams whacked this weekend, and they've been out drinking too much Drano. So they need to put the Drano down, back away, and re-listen to that. That is the Fonz.
All right, so the stakes are going up, right? The stakes are going up. That guy says that, and then another guy emails and goes, hey, Rome, I've got the box set for the show. I have the box set. I've seen every episode. I've seen that episode. You're wrong. You know, and at that point, I was about to agree to disagree, and then this guy calls in, and he actually has empirical evidence. He's talked to a guy who knows the guy, and he got confirmation. Alan in Springfield made this call.
I was listening to your show this morning, and it's just amazing to me that this has come up today, because just this past weekend, my son and I were out, and we had just dropped off my daughter at the porn studio. And luckily for us, we've got an underground cockfighting ring right next door. So me and my son went in there, and we sat down right next to Ralph Malph. And Ralph Malph told me that the only reason that Fonzie jumped that shark was because he told Potsy that he'd do it. So I think we can put an end to this whole thing with this third-party testimony.
Incredible. What an amazing phone call, and what an amazing coincidence that right as we're talking about this guy had come off a weekend where he was dropping his daughter off at the porn studio and happened to go to a cockfight, and who was there but Ralph Malph. He just said, I think now, because I'm making this phone call, we can put an end to this whole third-party thing. Again, I don't even know how this thing turned into a debate. I mean, you can hear it clear as day. You can hear him say it. Listen.
Here we go, Fonz. I'm heading for the Ram. Are you sure you want to do it?
The most amazing thing, after we spent the better part of an hour and a half going back and forth on this, I was all set to let it go. I'm coming into my last segment. I'm going to read a couple of texts, maybe an email and a phone call, get the hell out, and call it a day. I was all set to do it, and then the phone rang. I didn't plan this. We didn't set it up. It was completely organic. We didn't book it. On the call-in line was the man, the myth, the legend himself, Fonzie, lobbing us a telephone call. Arthur freaking Fonzarelli. It seems that one of his friends, Arlene Sorkin, had either heard the show or knew about the conversation we were having. She ran down Henry Winkler, the actor who famously played Fonzie, who happened to be in Toronto for the screening of a movie that was directed by his son with Uma Thurman. The Fonz appeared on this show. He appeared on this show to set the record straight. I put the question to him. I asked him, did you tell Potsy before the jump that you would do it? Is that why you made the jump, Fonz? Because you told Potsy you would do it, and this is how he responded on this show yesterday.
The fact of the matter is that all through the episodes, I was always plagued by Potsy, but I always kept my word. So I said, hey, I told Potsy I would do this, and put my thumb up and jumped the shark.
Incredible. And I said, Fonz, just so we're clear, are you saying that before you jumped that shark, the reason you did so is because you told Potsy you would do it?
Yes. There's another episode where he wants to be my best friend, and he takes me roller skating. So all through the series, I was plagued by Potsy, and that's what I said.
That's what I said. Freaking Arthur Fonzarelli if you need him. I'm not here to gloat, but I knew he said it. Hey, Fonz, you are as cool as you ever were. Thanks for calling in. You're the man. Hey. Hey. Best thing about that, we didn't set that up. We did not set that up. That was not some big bit. That was not something that was pre-produced. That was not something that we set up with him. Hey, Fonz, can you call the show? Here's what we're going to do. That was something that was brought up by an emailer that we just followed. An emailer brought this thing up and said, did you know he said that? And I said, you know what? I didn't know he said that. I went back and I listened to the tape. And I'm like, I can't believe it. He did say that. And then he confirmed it. Now I want to tell you one more thing about Fonz. Let me tell you about the Fonz. And this is really important. When he called the listen line, and we've been through this before, we want to make sure that, in fact, it was Henry Winkler. So Jay Stu starts pounding him with questions. Must have hit him with 15 questions. And Jason turns to Kyle Brandt and says, KB, it's him. It's him. And I said, Kyle, pick up the phone. You know, I've got about 2 minutes left here in the break. You pick up the phone, you talk to him too. And KB makes the Fonz answer about 15 questions. 30 questions later, about 28 after he should have, he could have said, look, I got the phone number. I thought I'd give you a call. Do you want me or not? He didn't. He answered every single question. And he also said, you want to know what else? If you want, you can check this. If you can check that. I really am who I say I am. The guy could not have been a better sport. He was awesome. Just awesome. But most of all, it was out of duty. I think that he wanted to set the record straight. He wanted to weigh in. So on a day where his son, where they were premiering a movie, screening a movie that his son Max directed with Uma Thurman, he made the phone call from Toronto and said, yes, I did it for Potsy. I said I would make the jump to Potsy, so I did.